ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaskar, my dear friends. This is video number 3 on Mundaka Upanishad. This video starts with verse number 9 of first chapter of first Mundaka. For him who knows all and understands everything, whose austerity consists of knowledge, from him the imperishable Brahma are born Brahma, name, form and food. Who knows all, that is to say, in general. This refers to the cosmic aspect of Brahma, Brahma with attributes associated with Maya or cosmic ignorance. Saguna Brahma surveys the created universe as a totality, understands everything. That is to say, in particular, this refers to the individualized aspect of Brahma, that is to say, the Jiva, associated with avidya or individualized ignorance. Austerity. The word refers to omniscience endowed with which Brahma creates the universe. In the case of ordinary people, austerity is associated with great effort, but Brahma creates the universe without the slightest effort. It appears to be the spontaneous manifestation of Brahma, name by which a created being is known, form denoting a particular color or shape, food, corn, barley, and other foods by which living beings are sustained. It is well known that any creative work is preceded by deep thinking. The object is at first conceived in the mind of the creator, then it is given a tangible form. The universe is the outcome of the thought of the creator. In describing the act of creation, the Upanishad says he thought. The difference, however, between a human creation and the divine creation is that the former is the result of much effort and labor, whereas the latter is the spontaneous manifestation of Brahma. Devasya Isa Swabhavaha. All this is the very nature of Brahma. The Upanishad gives a spiritual interpretation of the creation as opposed to a mechanistic. Here ends the first chapter of the first Mundaka. Chapter number 2 of first Mundaka. This is the truth. The sacrificial works which were revealed to the rishis in the hymns have been described in many ways in the three Vedas. Practice them, being desirous to attain their true results. This is your path leading to the fruits of your works. Sacrificial works. The various sacrifices described in the Vedas which enable their performers to attain prosperity here on earth and joy in the afterworld were revealed, etc. The hymns of the Vedas describe sacrifices which are to be performed by men seeking certain results. Rishis, the wise seers to whom the Vedic truths were revealed. Three Vedas, that is to say, the Rig Veda, the Sam Veda, and the Yajur Veda. The three priests known as the Hota, the Udgata, and the Uddhavraju. expert in the three Vedas mentioned above, participate in the Vedic sacrifices through a Brahmin who has specialized in the Atharvaveda is also present. The Atharvaveda does not contain injunctions for the sacrifices, or the words may refer to the world period known as Treta, which is the age of sacrifice. The Hindu scriptures speak of four world periods: Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and Kali. In each succeeding age, the virtue diminishes and sinfulness increases. True results: each sacrifice, when rightly performed, produces a definite result. This is etc. The Vedic sacrifices, when rightly performed, bring to the sacrificer sure result. In the previous chapter, the lower knowledge and the higher knowledge have been described. The result of the lower knowledge is life in samsara, the relative world, and the result of the higher knowledge is moksha or liberation. Samsara is characterized by a multiplicity of actions, instruments, and their results. Without beginning or end, it moves with uninterrupted continuity like the current of a stream. Those who are identified with it are miserable. Moksha, on the other hand, consists in the cessation of samsara. It is free from birth, growth, decay, and death. It is the experience of fearlessness, purity, and blessedness, and is characterized by the realization of the self, supreme joy, and non duality. The second chapter begins with a description of the lower knowledge, dealing with sacrifices and other meritorious deeds. It will be shown that their results are ephemeral. Only when a man understands this does he desire to cultivate the higher knowledge, which leads to liberation. The Agnihotra sacrifice is mentioned first. It precedes all other sacrifices. Verse number 2. When the fire is well lighted and the flames flicker, let a man offer his oblations in the space between the two portions of melted butter. When the sacrifice mentioned in this verse is properly performed, the sacrificer reaps a good result. But there are many impediments in the way of properly performing the Agnihotra sacrifice. If it is not rightly performed, much harm befalls the sacrificer. Stanza number 3. If a man's Agnihotra sacrifice is not accompanied by the Darsha and the Puranmasa sacrifice, by the 4 months sacrifice and the autumnal sacrifice, if it is unattended by hospitality to guests, or if the oblations are not offered at the right time, or if the sacrifice is unaccompanied by the Vesvadeva ceremony or is improperly performed, then it destroys his 7 worlds. Darsha, etc. The different sacrifices mentioned in this verse are supplementary to the Agnihotra sacrifice. Hospitality, etc. The householder who performs the Agnihotra sacrifice must entertain guests daily. 7 worlds, the earth and the 6 planes above it, or the words may denote the great grandfather, grandfather, and father of the sacrificer, the sacrificer himself, and also his son, grandson, and grand grandson. If the Agnihotra sacrifice is not supplemented by other sacrifices or is not properly performed, it does not enable its performer to attain any of the worlds, or his three ancestors and three descendants do not confer any benefit on his soul. All his efforts and labor are in vain. The flames of the sacrificial fire, Kali, Karali, Manojava, Sulohita, Sudhamarvarma, Safulgini, and the luminous Viswaruchi. These seven flickering about form the seven tongues of the fire. Kali, black; Karali, terrific; Manojaya, swift as thought; Sulohita, very red; Sudhumarvarna, of the color of bright smoke purple; Safulingini, scintillating; Viswaruchi, all gleaming, all performed. The seven tongues of the fire are intended to swallow the oblations thrown into it. The names of the flames are very suggestive. The result of the sacrifice. A man who performs the sacrifices when these flames are shining and offers oblation at the right time is carried by these oblations on the rays of the sun to where dwells the sole sovereign of the gods. Sacrifices, the Agnihotra and its supplementary sacrifices at the right time, the proper time prescribed in the Vedas for each sacrifice, carried, that is to say, after death, rays of the sun. The oblations are turned into the sun's rays. The rays symbolize the virtue according to the sacrificer from the performance of the sacrifice, sole sovereign, that is to say, Indra. How the sacrificer is led to heaven is poetically described by the Upanishad. Verse number 6. The luminous oblations say to the sacrificer, come hither, and lead him on the rays of the sun, worshipping him all the while and greeting him with the pleasant words. This is holy heaven of Brahma, earned by your good deeds. Oblations, that is to say, the merits acquired through the offering of oblation. The reward for the sacrifices and ritualistic worship is the attainment of Swarga or heaven. This heaven does not mean Brahmaloka, which is attained through other spiritual disciplines. The highest reward for the sacrificial worship performed by man devoid of knowledge has been described above. Such worship is the result of avidya or lack of true knowledge and a longing for material happiness. It is of no consequence because it cannot liberate the sacrificer from inevitable decay and death. It brings him back to earth and hence ends in misery. Therefore, it is condemned. Verse number 7. But frail indeed are those rapts of sacrifices conducted by 18 persons upon whom rests the inferior work. Therefore, they are destructible. Fools who rejoice in them as the highest good fall victims again and again to old age and death. 18 persons, 16 priests, the sacrificer and his wife, upon whom rest, etc. 18 persons are indispensable for the performance of the Agnihotra sacrifice. Inferior work refers to the sacrifices performed without knowledge of or meditation on the deities. 3, 4, etc. It is because the 18 persons who conduct the sacrifice are themselves liable to destruction. As curds or milk kept in a pot are destroyed when the pot is destroyed, so also the results of the sacrifices come to an end because the 18 persons who perform them are mortal. Shankaracharya, the effect is determined by the cause. A permanent result cannot be produced by an impermanent cause. Fall victim, etc. When the result of the sacrifice is exhausted Through enjoyment in heaven, the sacrificer comes back to earth, is born as an embodied being and experiences old age and death. What is true? What is true of the sacrifice is true also of worship and action. They are performed through instruments which have a beginning and an end and so are impermanent. Therefore, no work or worship can produce immortality or the highest good. Avidya and its offshoots, desire and actions are condemned. I end this video here. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Next video number 4 will start with verse number 8, chapter 2 of first Mundaka Upanishad. Namaskar.